All right, guys, what's up? This is a pricing calculator. You should have access to this in the portals underneath this video. There should be a link. What you want to do is make a copy of this. This is in Sheets, Google Spreadsheets. I'm going to take you through it and just explain how it works. And then keep in mind, if you have any questions about pricing, that's why we have the calls. That's why we have the community. If you're ever unsure about it, or you just want to get outside opinions, or even people in the community who are building alongside of you to look at pricing, you can do that, and you can fill this worksheet out. It'll be helpful for us. Just make a copy and pop your numbers in. So what you need to know first and foremost, this template has formulas in it. So anything that's highlighted green with the green box, you can fill out. Stay away from the rest for now, so you don't break any of the formulas. And I'll just take you through this one. This is the very first one. It's called the price saving model. So if you do work that is designed to save someone money, can be in terms of debt, taxes, a brokerage, or securing funding. It can even be in some cases health and wellness, if somebody's spending money on therapeutics or medicine, or things that it costs them money to deal with the problem. Then this is a good model for you to look at and use, because it can help you justify the prices that you want to get based on the income that you want to see. So we'll first and foremost go length of process in weeks. Let's say that your program that you created is 8 weeks. It's kind of a basic standard 8-week, and then the hours required by the client is 10 hours a week. It's going to tell you up here the amount of time total is required from the client. This is handy because we're going to discount this down based on their time. So if they're putting time into it, they're kind of paying in terms of hours rather than money. Let's say that the money saved per average per year is $40,000. So this would be like, if somebody's spending 40 grand a year on some sort of procedure, or an employee that's not doing a great job, or they are, even if you're a corporate consultant going in and building teams, let's say with the sales team, let's say that this is an 8-week process where you help somebody build a sales team. Well, the money saved that you're going to save them by paying bad employees per year, let's say it's $85,000 per year, because you get rid of a bad manager, you replace them with a good manager, whatever. The savings per hour, this is simply calculated based on an hourly work week of 40 hours, and then a 48 week year. We're going to take the money saved and we're going to divide it by the time, which gives us a discount of $5 grand ish on this. Now, one thing you should know here is this is actually secondary. So this doesn't necessarily tell you what the hourly rate of the client you're serving. This takes the money you save them per year, and it breaks the savings down into an hourly rate. So I'm going to save you $44 per hour for the rest of your life. Pretty good, but you have to put in 80 hours of time to do that. I'm not going to charge you for those 80 hours, because while I am saving you the money, the 80 hours you put in, that's the cost of you actually partnering with me to do it. So discounted down for the client's time is $81,458 in savings. And then if it's over 100K, it's recommended that we charge a 10%. 10 to 12 is decent. If it's 40 to 99, $20,000 is fine. And if it is under 40K, you can charge a little bit more. Now, here's why. You might be looking at this and saying, well, why am I charging them less the more money that I save them? And it's really not because you want to charge less to save them more. This is going based on 85. 85 stuck on the high end of 40 to 99K. Okay. We're not going to charge 30 grand here because it's not under 40K. So forget this. We're not charging 25K. It's under, but we can charge them 20% because it's in the middle of 40 to 99. Now let's say that the savings is 45,000. Notice we're going to pick this one in the middle because it's over 40 and it's under 99. But let's say that the savings is 20,000. Notice how the price comes down. So at $20,000, you're charging $57.50. At $45,000, you're charging $8,625. At $85,000, you're charging $16. You're still charging more. And then 150,000, you're charging 14. So there's a little bit of overlap here. And this is because you don't want to bloat out your prices. So don't look at it that way. It's not like, oh, why am I charging less the more money I make them? You're not. This is the percentage. This is not necessarily what you're actually charging them. You're not going to charge them 30K. You're not going to charge them 30%, 20%. You're going to charge them the 10% because the number is above 150. So fill out these three numbers and then it will tell you. So let's say back to the insurance or the sales manager for the insurance company, $44 an hour discounted down, you would charge $16,292. This would be an appropriate price for you to charge them. And if you split that up into 2 payments or 3 payments, essentially what you have is $5,000 per month for a $85,000 savings. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, it would be a decent deal. Now, mentally, the mental mindset piece of this, you might say, well, let's discount this down for beta. And we talk about beta in the curriculum. So if you're on a beta pricing, if you haven't sold this before, you might discount down your prices by 50%. So if you take this $16,000 and you discount it by 50%, you're charging $8,000, which is 10% of the $85,000 savings, okay? Excuse me. So this is the price saving model. Let's move on. Revenue model. It's a little bit different, but you still have the same 3 boxes at the top that we want to save. But this is for someone if you are doing anything that should contribute theoretically to a person's revenue, okay? Now, it's very important that you understand when you are impacting a person's revenue, you have to be careful with guidelines and regulations. You have to make sure that you're not promising anything or guaranteeing anything. You want to have a durable, long-term, stand-up, and well-run training consulting company. If that's the case, then you need to stay away from a lot of the sleazy type of scammy things where it's like, it will make X amount of money or you don't pay or things like that. It's not necessarily the best way for you to build something that has a great reputation. So when I say the revenue model, and I'm saying average revenue generated annually, we're using this purely for the purposes of setting pricing. We're not saying we should go to the market and talk to the market about this because in all realism, you want to be careful that you don't make promises or claims or anything that leads the market to believe they're guaranteed to make money or anything like that. Even for us, we are a consulting platform. We train consultants all over the world all the time. Like tons and tons and tons of people come through and like they have their business because they got training from us, and it's proprietary IP and everything we do is extremely above board. But when you look at our marketing, what we're not doing is we're not being like, you can make $500,000 a year. We're very careful to make sure that, when you look at Harvard or some of these legitimate, reputable, long-term institutions, you want to model them. It's about the experience. And yes, the goal is if you go to Harvard, you are trained and equipped to have a better career. And part of having a better career is more money. I'm spending time here because I think that it's important for you to really delineate between how we're using this for pricing versus thinking that we're going to just take this number to the market. We're not doing that. So length of process, let's say that this is a longer program, it's 12 weeks. All right, so let's actually use LaunchKit here. 4 months, 16 weeks, 5 hours per week, 80 hours required by the client. And average revenue generated annually, let's say that this is 400,000. There we go. And average profit on that, let's say is 40%. And we're going to leave the average profit alone because we're just going to use industry average for the market we're in. So if you're in, let's say you're a sales consultant, let's go back to the sales example. The average profit for your companies might be 10% or it might be 20%, but the average revenue generated is probably going to be a lot higher. There's a partner that we work with who worked with me back in the day. And what he does is he goes into companies. He will restructure their sales, restructure their comp, place sales managers at the helm, and he'll take people all of the time, like routinely, from $2, $3, $4 million a year to 8 figures, and it's because he's really, really good at the sales. So for this, you look at the average revenue generated annually for him, it's going to be like $6 million or something. Let's just say $5 million right here, and the average margin is probably 25%. And this is about in range of what he charges right here. It's about 50 to 70K per contract. Anyways, back to LaunchKit. Let's say 400,000 is the number that we want to stick to. And our number for like our other programs, Modern Day Consultant, some of our older products that really help people scale. You got to understand this about our organization. there's 3 levels of productization. There's that like 0 to 6 figures. You're really getting something going. You're getting something started. And that's LaunchKit. The LaunchKit is in that phase. If you're watching this, if you're in LaunchKit, hopefully you're in a position where, if you're making $3 million a year right now watching this, you should stop watching, get on the phone with us, because there's other things that you need to go to 10. This is probably not going to be one of those things. But to go from $2,000 a month to 10 or 15 or 20, you really need to nail pricing and understand what you're doing. Then the second level inside of our organization is kind of that $150,000, $200,000, $250,000-ish, all the way up to $2 million. Okay, so that's like that middle tranche. When you get to $250,000 a year, you can start to afford to focus on some other things. 250, 300,000, 350,000. You really need to start looking at who is doing some work for me. Do I have administrative executive assistants? Do I have people that are starting to take things off of my plate? And then from a market standpoint, you can afford to start going into a market differently with some paid advertising, some paid traffic. And that's that second tranche. It's like the 250 to 2 million, 1.5 million, 2 million. And then there's the third level above that, which is for 2 million up to 8 figures and beyond. And that's all about all of our long-term models. Like, this is how you create literally impenetrable businesses that are bulletproof, that ride economies, ups and downs like a machine. You have multi-layers of staff, and there's about 20 different models that we use for those clients to help them cross over that hump and do it in a way that's safe and feels good in the process. So we have different products for each of those levels. So you can see we're going to model the way for you long term and how you make sure you're slicing and dicing the market appropriately. But for LaunchKit, it says 0 to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. But let's even take it lower. Let's say $250,000, which is about $20,000-ish per month. Average profit on this is 40 or higher. If you're a solopreneur, it's going to be higher. So it's probably up in the 65 territory. Let's split it in the middle. Let's say 50. And then the discount for profit percentage right here is going to bring this 250 down to the actual profit that a person is bringing home from that revenue. Because it's not just about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. And so the revenue model based on a 10, 20, and 30% profit is going to be anywhere from $2,500 to $12,500. And what do you know about LaunchKit? It's a $5,500 product. We're actually on the low end of our pricing, and that's on purpose. If we wanted to maximize our pricing elasticity, price elasticity is like what the market will pay, we'd probably be in that 6 to 12K territory. But we want to be on the low end, so we're at 5,500. We're underneath this, but as you can see, it fits the model. It fits the model. The third is what's called personal economics model. Let's say that you are just wanting to start taking some one-on-one clients on the side, and you want to make a predictable amount of money on the side, and you've got a great cush corporate job, and you're just interested in, how do I add some side income? I want to pay for some vacations. I want to pay for some things around the house. And let's say I want $125,000 a year coming from this side gig. How many hours are required per client on a monthly basis for that to happen? Let's say that, or how many hours required per month on a monthly basis do you have to put into your clients? So let me give you an example of this. Let's say that your offer is you're meeting with a client once a week for 1 hour per week. Well, that would be 4 hours, okay? And then let's say the desired working hours per week are 20. We want to do this part-time. Our needed hourly rate is 130 per hour. Our utilization rate, and this utilization rate is the percent to which you are actually booked up. If you want to get to a place where you're selling a firm or you're selling a consultancy, they're going to look at this utilization rate and they're going to want like 80% or higher. Again, industry averages might be 82 or 83%. But we're doing this on the side. We're just enjoying it. We're having some fun. And let's say 50% of the time, which means we're probably going to be putting in less than 20 hours a week, but that's okay. This is just a hedge. Our available client load is 10 clients, and we want to make around $10,000 per month. That means our pricing needs to be set right here at $1,042 per client per month. Okay, so if you can get 10 clients at $1,000 per month, that's going to hit your revenue targets at 125, which is right here. If you get 15, it's going to be 187. If you get 20, it's going to be 250. Now notice the differences in these pricing models. When we look at this area on the side, we've got 391 all the way up to, 2.3 million. On the revenue model, we have 150 all the way up to 900,000. Okay. And then with the personal economics, we have 62 up to 250. Wow, it's a lot lower. It seems like a lot lower. This is because this is based on like an hourly work rate. At any point, you could raise these prices if you wanted to, and your money would increase. But to scale something, if you want to scale it and do it in a way that's enjoyable and do it in a way that doesn't burn you out, then you really need to be getting into a position where you are moving away from the hourly one-on-one at some point in the future. You don't have to right now, but at some point in the future, once you've hit your amount of runway here that you need to see, it will be important to start modeling how we do it. And we go from one-on-one work to more of a concentrated group cohort style. And then it's kind of like this graph in if you've ever seen a bell curve, it kind of goes up in the middle. When you look at our products, some of our front-end really expensive things have some one-on-one elements, and some of our back-end things have one-on-one elements. But for the majority of the clientele in the middle, it's a group style. It's a cohort style. We call it actually a classroom style community. Classroom style community will help you build that. That's not something like we'll teach you, but that's not something we go into great detail in here. That's for that second tranche, that 250 to 2 million. That's when you really start pioneering. How do I scale my client load without decreasing client results? Classroom style communities are a great way to do that. Make a copy of this, go through it. I hope that this is giving you clarity. Once again, if you need help on your pricing, drop us a note, put it in the community. That's what it's there for. We'd love to give you feedback. We are seriously stoked for you to win. That's our number one goal. So post anytime you need it. Talk soon.